Cecilia Estelano,
Here.
Danny Hawkins,
Good afternoon.
Lance Izumi,
Here.
Deborah Malumed,
Present.
Gary Reed,
Here.
Nancy Sumner,
Here.
Colin Van Loon.
Here. Very good, thank you. Member Van Loon, could you please lead us in the pledge? Of course. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chancellor Harris.
Thank you, President Baca. Members of the board, I would at this time like to ask three of our one reappointed and two new colleagues on the Board of Governors to come forward so we may put forward the oath of office for our new colleagues. It's a pleasure to reintroduce Member Danny Hawkins, who was recently reappointed by the Governor. New member Scott Budnick and new member Arnaldo Avalos. Please join me in congratulating them. Gentlemen, if you would hold up your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chancellor, and welcome everyone. I'd like to begin by congratulating the new appointees and thank the Governor for those appointees, especially Scott Budnick, first meeting here. Good to have you. Since our last meeting, I've participated in a number of events and activities. One of them that I'd like to talk about is one that was held in June in Beverly Hills with the California Coalition for Public Higher Education, and it was great to see Chancellor Harris again interacting with President Napolitano and Chancellor White from the Cal State system, working really well together for all of higher education in California, and thank Ellen Mendelson for coordinating that event, and for Jason and his wife, Jason Lulian, and his wife for hosting the gathering that day on June 5th. Attended quite a number of events, as I think most of us who are involved in education do during the months of May and June, with graduation occurring, so a lot of graduation-related events during that period. I also spent some time with the Umoja coalition or group at the Riverside Mission Inn. They had a week-long seminar there on, of course, better preparing students for higher education, and great function that they held there, week-long counselors and teaching faculty among them. Also, and a little bit later, we'll be hearing from Dr. Kathleen Hall Jameson regarding civic involvement among community college students. Jeff Baum, Vice President Baum, and I spent some time with her, and she will, I believe she may be here. There she is, Dr. Jameson. Good to have you. And we'll be hearing from you later on this afternoon about civic organization in California, specifically with the community colleges. Justice Anthony Kennedy has taken us a particular interest, he being from California in helping with that. And as I said, she'll be talking a little bit more. I also spent a couple of days in San Diego at the Online Teaching Conference. Great event. I think it was very worthwhile. A former Undersecretary Cantor was one of the presenters. There were some others who spoke about online education, and there were quite a number of workshops and breakouts that dealt with how to better teach through that method. And just a couple of more items. And Nancy Sumner, thank you. I mean, congratulations rather for your recognition by Assemblyman Magato as a Veteran of the Year, and your ongoing work with veterans. And with that, I will turn it over to the Chancellor.
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. Just a couple of quick items. I want to thank my colleagues in the Central Valley. Last week I had the opportunity to tour several of our colleges and centers, beginning with College of Sequoias in Visalia, and then going to Porterville College, and finally Bakersfield College. When I was at College of Sequoias, we also got a chance to look at the Hanford Center and the center in Tulare. I saw some really wonderful programs, very unique in many cases. Just to mention one of them, there was a wonderful equine reproduction program at the Hanford campus of the College of Sequoias. The agricultural base in all of those colleges is really striking in comparison to some of the colleges in our metropolitan area. So it was a great trip, and I truly enjoyed it. Then last week, early last week, I had the opportunity to go to the Peralta district, specifically to Laney College, to help them celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Peralta Community College District. So it was a good couple of weeks to get out on the campuses. I want to thank Dan Troy, Vince Stewart, Eric Skinner, and all the folks involved in the budget talks this year, the community college budget, which the board heard about last time, and we'll get a little bit more from Dan Troy about later today. It was a very good budget year for California's community colleges, and that doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of the hard work of a lot of people, not only in the Chancellor's office, but in the Community College League and representatives from up and down the state in the field. And I appreciate and value all of the help we get in advocating for a good budget for our colleges. And we've had some bad budget years in recent memory. So last year and especially this year have been very good, and we certainly are appreciative of the work of the governor and the legislature. It's clear to all of us that the priorities that we are undertaking to restore access to this system and to enhance student success were carried through in the budget. We saw the allocation of significant amounts of dollar, not only for adding back classes that have been cut, but also for supporting equity and student success. So it was a very good year, and I appreciate the work of an awful lot of people to get us to that point. I'm also excited today to announce the appointment by the governor of Dr. Pam Walker as the new Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and the appointment to a new Executive Vice Chancellor post of Patrick Perry. Patrick's been in the agency for a while. Pam is most recently serving as the interim president at American River College. Those two folks will take on their new roles, Patrick right away and Pam in August. And in the next few weeks, we'll also be announcing the appointment of the new leader of the Kresge Student Success Center, funding we've received through the foundation, and a new Vice Chancellor for Technical Assistance, which was funded through the budget that was just recently passed. So some very, very important additions to the Chancellor's office, and congratulations immediately to Pam and to Patrick, and more news soon. And then finally, I want to thank everyone on the staff who's worked so hard in preparation for tomorrow morning's Rice Awards on diversity. This is one of the most important activities undertaken by this Board of Governors, and every year we're very pleased to acknowledge and recognize tremendous work from the field. I'm not going to go into detail about those awards today, because tomorrow morning at breakfast is the time for that. We're very pleased to have not only Dr. Rice's widow with us tomorrow morning, but also his daughter, Dr. Condoleezza Rice, will make the keynote address. So it'll be a wonderful activity and a very important one for this board, and that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor. We will now move on to the consent calendar, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Member Reed? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I need to make a correction to the minutes, and I would like to ask some questions about the grants.
Okay. Very good. We have a motion by Member Reed and a second by Member Hawkins. Discussion. Yes.
I want to correct correct and update my board report, which is in section 5.4. I did email that to the president of the board as well as to Clarissa. And do I need to read it out? Or just allow what I sent to clarify my report? Thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and read it out? And
Read it out? Okay. I want to correct it to read. He thanked Thuy Nguyen, General Counsel for the Peralta Community College District, and Sheila Lau, Articulation Officer at the College of Alameda, for the work on the community college's Pathway to Law School, a program now in place providing a pathway for community college students to pursue a degree in law. He thanked Catherine Bart, Articulation Officer of California State University, Chico, who is retiring this year and will be greatly missed given her hard work, experience, and knowledge regarding articulation. He also reported having attended the Academic Senate for California Community College's spring plenary.
Okay. Note that, yes.
Just one minor edit. Board Member Epstein probably is a he. Thanked the board, not a she, for welcoming him on that same page. I just noticed it.
Very good. Are there any other changes to the minutes? Not. We will then have a motion with a second with the changes proposed. Clarissa?
I think Member Hawkins has some questions on the grants.
Member Hawkins?
Actually, it was Member Valinsky.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Questions on the grants, not on the minutes.
But they're in the
Okay.
same motion.
they're in the
Okay.
same item.
Consent calendar.
The first one I wanted to start with is with grant number 2. Just again, for my own awareness and information, when it talks about that they're going to provide opportunities for faculty, leadership development institutes, curriculum institutes, faculty representatives, is that solely for that area around the College of the Canyons, or is this something that is statewide?
Try to get the microphone fired up here.
Yes, Member Belansky. Actually, this is a statewide investment, and Santa Clarita is just the fiscal agent to process the funding.
So how does just again for awareness, how does the information get out to folks that they can participate, in this leadership development institute, professional development opportunity?
It's a great question. For example, we have made an investment with an organization called CCC AOE, which is the equivalent of a trade association for the faculty and the deans of the career technical education area. And we've invested in a nuts and bolts set of leadership programs for field members in the field. And so they go out and they reach to their membership to let that world, the field, know that they could sign up and attend this program.
Okay.
And we're working with also the Academic Senate in developing a similar program on the Curriculum Institute side.
Okay. Thank you. In terms of number 3, just because I'm not remembering and maybe it's happening, have we already seen the launch board?
We have given you a preview of the types of metrics that are included in the launch board, but if you would like a presentation on the launch board, I'm
Maybe
sure
at
Patrick
some
and I
point in
can.
the future. And one last one, which is number 8, which deals with AB 86. I guess maybe the simplest way of doing this would be simply to say that I think we should have some kind of a presentation on AB 86, and I think there's 5 areas that are included, and some of the confusion that I have about not knowing totally the process for how it all will work, because I also know there's, under this AB 86, there's this California Career Pathways Trust project, which I don't think comes here to the Board of Governors, since I know the district I work in already is the fiscal agent for one of these. So, I mean, I think it would be helpful. And the other thing is when I was doing the research just to try to better inform myself, I even discovered that there was supposedly a report that went to the governor on March 1st that was from the Chancellor's Office and the California Department of Education. So it might be kind of nice just to see that too, and in a sense to be better aware of what we're trying to accomplish and if it will be accomplished through this process.
Well, for example, on the first part of that question having to do with those pathway grants, we have told you the colleges that were awarded, but as you pointed out, that was done by the California Department of Education. Yeah. We did participate tangentially in the review of the applications, but those decisions were made by the CDE, and we did send you information on who the grantees were. The second part of your question, I think you're absolutely on target. We can bring and should bring forward a more robust conversation on AB 86, and probably the fall is a good time to do that. By then, we should have a little bit more clarity on where it's headed.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Vice President Ball?
For the benefit of our new members, the AB 86 is a legislation that was introduced in response to the governor's proposal to consolidate adult education in the community college system, and we've then changed that so that there's actually a more deliberative process as to how that will evolve.
That's correct. The governor first proposed about 1.5 years ago that all adult ed would move to community colleges almost overnight, and then in deliberations through the budget, that was changed to a 2-year planning cycle, and we're now in the early part of the 2nd year of that planning, and as Member Belansky points out, this is a good time to give the board an update.
Any other points? Okay. Then we have some changes to the minutes for Member Belansky and also Member Epstein. Unless there's any further discussion.
No, but it's under his name.
Well, it was on Epstein's.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you.
So if there is no further discussion, then all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Now move to action item 2.1, reappointment of a special trustee for San Francisco Community College District. This item presents for consideration the reappointment of a special trustee at San Francisco Community College District. Chancellor?
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board.
Before we move on to this item, I do want to indicate that Member Belansky will not be participating in this discussion.
Or voting. I will abstain.
And you will abstain from the vote.
Thank you. As the board will recall, in July of last year, you elevated the special trustee, City College of San Francisco, to include special trustee with extraordinary powers and assuming the responsibilities of the Board of Trustees of the district. Today, I'm going to ask Deputy Chancellor Skinner to introduce the reappointment of that trustee for an additional year. Eric?
President Baca, members of the board, Chancellor Harris, the item before you is the reappointment of a special trustee to manage this City College of San Francisco. The board initially took an action to appoint a special trustee in July of 2013, and that special trustee was appointed in response to imminent threats to the college's accreditation and serious concerns about the college's fiscal health. With the appointment of a special trustee, that special trustee took over all the powers and authorities. All right. Thank you. So with the appointment of the special trustee, that individual took over the powers and authorities normally vested in a locally elected board. This is an action, this takeover of a local community college district is an action that is exceedingly rare in the history of our system, and just to be candid, runs contrary to really one of our fundamental principles as a system, which is the principle of local control and local governance. And so it's only as a measure of last resort that a board of governors would take this action to go in and take over a district. And that's what happened in the case of City College of San Francisco. With that appointment of the special trustee, that was a 12-month appointment. And again, as I noted, that special trustee who ended up being named as Dr. Robert Agrella has run that district for the past 12 months. And with the board's authority to take over a college, to appoint a special trustee in this manner, is limited to 12-month duration, so that the item before you is a continuation or an extension of that for another 12 months. Just to provide a little bit of context here, as I noted, at the initial action to appoint the special trustee was taken as a measure of last resort to save a college that was in a very desperate situation. During the past 12 months, there's been really an incredible amount of progress that's been made at the local level at the college. Under the leadership of Dr. Bob Agrella, the college has hired a permanent chancellor for the first time in, I believe, 8 years, to have some permanent leadership there. They've done sounds like the public will have a chance to. The public will have a chance to speak, and I'd be happy to be corrected on that front if I'm wrong. But so as I noted, that the college had a series of interim chancellors over a number of years, and with the hiring of Dr. Art Tyler as the permanent chancellor, the college is once again with permanent leadership in place. In addition, there have been significant hires across the administrative ranks. The chief business officer was brought in. Ron Gearhart, who's one of the top chief business officers in the state, took that position. And there have also been some impressive hires in both academic affairs and the student services ranks. So there's been an infusion of some new talent and leadership that have served the college quite well. In addition, other actions that were taken were putting in place this is under the leadership of Ron Gearhart, putting in place fiscal controls that had been sorely lacking at the college for some time. These are both in payroll, accounting, in the budgeting process itself. So these are really at the core of a college's fiscal operation, and there were significant improvements made on those fronts. The college also underwent some revisions to its governance structure and its consultative process, and numerous other changes that were chronicled and measured and publicized through a tool, a project management tool called the Roadmap, that has been used by the college to keep track of its progress over the last 12 months. So again, significant progress has been made, and credit goes not only to the special trustee, Dr. Agrella, but really to the college and as a whole. It's really there's been a lot of development over the last 12 months in terms of that community coming together and really focusing on the task at hand, which is to meet the deficiencies that were identified in the accreditation process, to address the deficiencies that were noted in various reviews of the college's fiscal operations. And I think it's fair to say at this juncture the college has made tremendous progress, and it has begun to turn a corner towards long-term sustained sufficiency and not only improve fiscal health, but also there are paths forward towards maintaining the college's accreditation that are promising. That said, there is a significant amount of work that's left to be done. First and foremost, on the accreditation front, there have been some recent developments that both in terms of the college was successful in there was an appeal process that the college lodged an appeal with the commission, and the appeals panel came back with a finding that essentially remanded the decision about the termination of accreditation back to the commission for review. That process is underway at this point, but it does offer some potential for modification to that action, or in some other manner an improvement to the college's accreditation status. In addition, the commission has also put in place a policy, a new policy that's deemed the restoration process, which presents another possible path forward for the college. This restoration process was established to provide a path forward for City College. It is a general policy that would apply to any college in a similar situation, but it's quite clear that this proposal was intended to provide a path forward for City College. The restoration process we can go into more depth if there are questions about it, but essentially it lays out what can be up to a 2-year time frame for the college to demonstrate its full compliance with accreditation standards. So those are promising developments on the accreditation front. I would say that I think on the fiscal front, the college is in a much better situation than it was before. That's the result not only of some wise decisions on the part of that college in terms of its resource allocations and its both a combination of some budget cuts that were made and also some kind of some reallocation of resources towards core priorities at the college. Again, on the fiscal front, I think there's significant progress to report. That said, at this juncture, there's still enough risk involved in the situation, both in the accreditation, on the accreditation front, and also to a lesser extent on the fiscal front, that the recommendation before you is to extend the appointment of a special trustee for another 12 months. That process, keeping that special trustee in place, in our minds, to our analysis, is actually very critical to the college successfully maintaining its accreditation for the long term, and we believe this is the wise course forward, and therefore the recommendation before you is to extend this appointment for another 12 months.
Thank you, Deputy Chancellor Skinner. Before we open it for discussion, unless there's something really quick that someone would like to ask, I'd like to have the public commentary heard.
And President Baca, apologies, I omitted one item which I think is worth noting before you deliberate, which is that, as I noted, we do feel that the college has turned a corner and is headed into a much more positive direction than it was prior. Part of the work ahead of us over the coming months and the coming year is really to lay that groundwork for the return to local control. And we've begun to have those conversations not only in our office but with some key parties about how that would proceed. We think that once it's clarified whether the college is on this restoration path or whether the remand process provides the path forward on accreditation, once that has been solidified, we believe that it's time to begin the planning in earnest for figuring out how those reins will be returned to the local college. Because again, taking local control away is a measure only of last resort for us as a system, and we very much look forward to the day when we can responsibly return the control back to that community. Thank you.
President Baca, I just wanted to let the members of the public know, too, we do welcome the public comment. I do have 24 comment cards, and as you saw when you filled out the comment card, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes apiece. You will hear a brief note when you've reached that 3 minutes, and we do ask so that we have an opportunity to that all members of the public who wish to address the board have their voices heard. We'll ask you to respect that 3 minute limitation. I'm going to call 3 names at a time so you could sit and Deputy Chancellor Skinner, if you don't mind stepping aside so that we could be most efficient in our use of time. The first 3 cards I have are from Alan Fisher from City College, Jenny Lamb from the Chinese Affirmative Action Group, and Christine Hansen, a CCSF student and San Francisco voter. And we'll start with Alan Fisher. And all 3 of you can come to the table at once.
Good afternoon. I'm a faculty member at City College, and I'd like to read a statement provided by a colleague and fellow faculty member at the college. Her name is Francine Podensky of Walnut Creek. Honorable members of the Board of Governors, the justification for an appointment of a special trustee with extraordinary powers for City College has always rested on uncertain ground, now more so than ever. The California Code of Regulations, Title V, Section 58310, requires community college districts to report regularly regarding financial and budgetary conditions. City College of San Francisco has always complied with this regulation. Annual 311 community college reports, as well as the annual single audits, have been completed and filed with the state of California as well as other state and federal agencies. It is my understanding that the college has not had an adverse audit opinion in 18 years. Historically, the appointment of a special trustee with extraordinary powers rests on the presumption that a college's financial condition are in dire straits due to mismanagement by the college's administration. When this condition is met, an appointment of a special trustee with extraordinary powers is justified and warranted. This financial condition does not exist at City College of San Francisco. Currently, the college has an $18 million fund balance for the one-year period ending June 30, 2014. Add this to the fund balance disclosed in the annual 311 report available on either the college website or your own California Community College's website, and the total fund balance available as of June 30, 2014 will be $30 million. It appears that this fund balance has been accomplished primarily through class cancellations and faculty salary reductions. A $30 million balance surplus places City College of San Francisco in the upper tier of reserve ratios for all community colleges statewide. I assume that the current CCSF senior administration has already disclosed the current surplus fund balances described here. If these surplus fund balances have not been reported, it seems legally incumbent on you, as members of the Board of Governors, to verify the actual fund balance and reserves at City College of San Francisco through investigation or an audit before a vote occurs on Resolution 2.1 to reappoint the special trustee with extraordinary powers at City College of San Francisco. Thank you.
Jenny Lamb, followed by Christine Hansen.
Honorable Board of Governors and Chancellor Harris, my name is Christine Hansen, and I'm a native San Franciscan. I would like to address the actions of the special trustee whose delegation you are proposing to extend. In 2012, 72.9% of San Francisco voters approved Prop A, which is a parcel tax to, in the words of the proposition, provide City College with funds the state cannot take away. Prop A also declared the use of the funds will be subject to annual review by a Citizens Oversight Committee appointed by the Community College Board. San Francisco property owners made their first payment in 2013, and the tax will be collected for 8 years. Under the reign of Trustee Agrella, there has been no formation of nor reporting from any Citizens Oversight Committee. As someone who voted for Prop A and voted in all of the elections for Board of Trustees, it is an outrage that this special state appointee may now use those funds without the controls voted on by the people of the city of San Francisco. It would be a farce to consider that this person could also potentially appoint, if he should be so inclined, his very own Citizens Oversight Committee. Do you see what a tangled mess, legal mess, this body is creating? The San Francisco Board of Supervisors certainly does. It's quite rare that our Board of Supervisors votes unanimously on any topic. In this case, they were unanimous in endorsing their proposal to restore the duly elected CCSF Board of Trustees in July 2014. Now is a good time to do this. Why? This past June, CCSF had completed 95% of Chancellor Harris's list of accreditation requirements. So arguing that the special trustee is needed to oversee follow-through on accreditation is null. Because of City College's outstanding showing on the Chancellor's Student Success Scorecard, where City College consistently scored 8% higher than the state average in all categories and a whopping 30% higher in the completion rate for remedial students, it can't be for reasons of educational improvement. City College also recently was found to have $9 million in money that apparently has been overlooked. So it's impossible to claim this action for fiscal reasons. So what reasons remain? If this body takes this step at this time to vote for this proposal, you will have no defense, no semblance of good cause. It can only be seen historically and legally as a purely political move. Consider, is that really something you want to add your name to? Thank you.
Next is Christine Hansen, and she will be followed by Noemi Sohn, Timothy Killikelly, and Chanel Williams.
Good afternoon, Board of Governors. My name is Jenny Lamb with Chinese for Affirmative Action, a civil rights organization based in San Francisco. Last year, CA responded to the community's deep concern about the future of the college. We launched the Move City College Forward campaign, bringing together students, community organizations, faculty and staff, public officials together. To date, the Move City College Forward has 10,000 supporters signing on to support letters with principles that include putting learning first and valuing all students. For Chinese for Affirmative Action, we've seen 3 distinctive paths transpire to addressing City College of San Francisco. And first, around accreditation. Although there's been positive developments with City College and its accreditation in recent weeks, we are still extremely concerned with the Accreditation Commission and its lack of transparency and unclear policies, also found by the recent audit by the state. In regards to governance, we are also deeply concerned with a special trustee with extraordinary powers, considering the tremendous progress that's been made by the college over the last 2 years. And it is a priority from CAA that the college, with the State Chancellor's Office, to develop a comprehensive plan to return City College to local governance, to its elected Board of Trustees within a defined timeline, before the 2 years as stated by the Chancellor's Office. And we welcome to partner with Deputy Director Skinner, as we have in the last year, around stabilization funds and around this comprehensive transition plan. Second, around legal action, we're thankful to City Attorney Dennis Herrera for leading the lawsuit that seeks to raise important questions about transparency and clarity from the Accreditation Commission. This should and can only help, not only to protect the college, but all community colleges throughout California. And lastly, around legislation, there continues to be legislative efforts to find possible options for community colleges and accreditation. At Chinese for Affirmative Action and our Move City College Forward supporters, we actively engage in expressing support and ultimately the passage of stabilization funds for City College of San Francisco, bringing more than $20 million to ensure that there are no cuts in programming, to ensure that the college has a focus to be able to rebuild its enrollment. And we now want to make sure the college budget reflects programming for all of its diverse student body. And in closing, we have a role and responsibility in making sure City College of San Francisco continues to live out its mission. Thank you.
Noemi Sohn, followed by Timothy Killikelly and Chanel Williamson. And Noemi, you're listed as ACCE. What organization is that, if you can mention that?
Thank you for hearing me. My name is Noemi Sohn. ACCE is the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment. It's a community-based organization that deals with issues in the community. City College has always been dear to my heart. I come to it with different hats. One is a lifelong student. The other one is I have the opportunity to teach a half-unit course yearly on disability issues in a module called Diversity and Social Justice, which is very important to the community in such a diverse city. I also come to it as a community member of San Francisco. It is a very important and vital resource in San Francisco, not only the academic track, but also the job trainings that it provides for the city. Everything from the culinary arts to airport maintenance. I've been following what has been going on with City College of San Francisco for the last 4 years, and I am very disturbed by what happened with the show cause that was given to the college last year by HCCJC. And I feel that, excuse me, I didn't prepare anything that was a last-minute thing, so excuse me, and I just ate up 2 seconds. But I think a lot of the report or the evaluation was erroneous. First of all, as a student, it's a highly valued, highly respected institution nationwide, so it had nothing to do with academics. I want to say in closing, I really think for transparency and democracy that I want the Board of Trustees back. Thank you.
Thank you. Timothy Killikelly.
Yes, hello. I want to thank you for the opportunity for letting me address you today. I'm Tim Killikelly. I'm president of AFT 2121, the faculty union at the City College of San Francisco. I wanted to ask you several things today, something about the special trustee with extraordinary powers, but several other things related to that as well. You must act decisively to remove the cloud that is habitually hanging over City College of San Francisco. And I cannot emphasize enough how the uncertainty is actually causing more and more problems. And the enrollment last year that fell so dramatically happened because of the disaccreditation decision of the ACCJC. And until there is a signal from all of you that the college will remain open, that the processes that are used are fair, it is simply going to be a problem. We think that you as decision makers need to solve and deal with the problems rather than kicking the can down the road. I speak for all of us at City College. We are really tired of being the can that is kicked down the road. So I have a series of suggestions. One, I want you to reject the current proposal today, the resolution before you, and return the board back to power. This would be a clear signal that you're willing to make sure that the uncertainty ends. You also have the authority to end the monopoly that the ACCJC has as sole accreditor for community colleges. You all saw the audit report. You'll know that was suggested in there. And so I suggest that you do that. I also would like you to reject the the unnecessary and illegal restoration policy from the ACCJC. And I'm going to leave you really with a series of questions that I'm having a hard time answering, and I think that the public really has a right to know from State Chancellor Harris and from all of you, really. Considering how Chancellor Harris has declared to the court that he would not have taken the extraordinary measure of stripping power of the democratically elected Board of Trustees if he had known that it would not resulted in a fair chance to save City College. Please then explain how you justify the continued denial of democratic rights to the citizens of San Francisco who, through their elected officials, have been demanding the return of the board back to power, 11-0, as someone mentioned earlier. That's question one. Question two. In light of Chancellor Harris's declaration to the court about the veracity of Barbara Bino and, more broadly, the findings of the CA audit report and the ACCJC's dismissive and disrespectful response to it, what evidence is there that they can be a reliable accreditor? And lastly, what evidence is there that without new leadership and a reformed ACCJC, that the proposed restoration policy can be trusted to be fair and end the uncertainty at City College of San Francisco? We all await the answers to these questions and hope for a credible and effective leadership on these issues. I want to thank you very much.
Next is Chanel Williams. She'll be followed by Dana Jane Labreck, James McKinney, and Tariku Farrar.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am currently a full-time student at City College of San Francisco. I've just been elected for my second term as student trustee at City College of San Francisco. And I've been involved in this fight for the past 2 years. We're now going into the third year of trying to fight to save our college. And I really believe in the integrity of this system and preserving affordability and access for the 2.1 million students that really depend on community colleges to reach their educational goals. So thank you for hearing me today. So I'm here to ask the Board of Governors to take action to not reauthorize the special trustee with extraordinary powers and to stop allowing ACCJC to have an accreditation monopoly. The intention of the special trustee with extraordinary powers was to retain accreditation, and we have seen our accreditation revoked. And now the college will have to seek legal action or this restoration policy, which is not a clear path to accreditation. The State Chancellor, Chancellor Harris, approved, and the Board of Governors approved Robert Agrella to have full authority to run the district without consultation, even though while he was a voluntary trustee, the board never vetoed, or he never had to veto any action taken by the board. The Board of Trustees really went along with everything that he suggested. So it's sort of weird that we're still in this place. So since he's been in power, we've seen an administrative structure that is far too top-heavy. We're seeing candidates that aren't even fully qualified being elected into top positions. There's no oversight over the bond measures and the parcel tax dollars. These are legal things that have to happen. I actually sit on the Citizen Advisory Committee for our bond measures, and we haven't had meetings. We haven't had meetings about Prop A. We haven't had meetings about all of our bond measures, which is really troubling, and it's illegal. Our shared governance process. I was removed from the Chancellor Search Committee, and even though the board was dissolved, I'm still a full-time student. I don't understand why he would choose to remove me from a chancellor search committee, this was really seen as a political move. And looking at the shared governance process overall for the district, our executive council has been circumvented. We aren't consulted on district-wide matters, which has really been a problem in terms of appointing students in the correct way to shared governance committees. We've seen that these decisions are made at the top and we're not being consulted. There's been a number of cuts that have impacted students, faculty, and staff at a time when the college has had the largest reserve and a ton of money coming in. We're seeing numerous cuts. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, especially with the numbers you heard earlier of our reserves. So again, the ACCJC is an unaccountable body, but the Board of Governors, you guys are accountable, and we depend on you as students and the college community to really protect us and to take some action. And I believe that the local community needs to have a voice in reshaping our college. We have excellent academic quality. We've never been on sanction for 75 years. 75 years this institution has served San Francisco without any sanction, and we're in this mess going into the third year. So 80,000 students want to stop living in uncertainty, 80,000 students. And we need the Board of Governors to step up and work with our elected representatives to address what we see as a political attack on City College of San Francisco. What has happened to the college under the leadership of Bob Agrella, the ACCJC has dug their heels in, and the roadmap to success has not changed the way ACCJC operates in terms of conflicts of interest and not following their own rules. Again, I urge you to do not reauthorize this proposal for the special trustee and do not allow the ACCJC to maintain a monopoly over accreditation. Thank you.
Dana J. Lebrecht, James McKinney, and Tariku Farrar.
Good afternoon. I hope you all experienced a wonderful 4th of July celebrating the birth of our nation. The United States is a nation founded on democratic and Republican ideals, striven for even while imperfectly practiced. It is the imperfection of practice which I'd like to comment on today. My name is Dana J. Lebrecht. I'm a full-time faculty and the recently elected Academic Senate Secretary for 2014-15 school year at City College of San Francisco. My statement today is offered on behalf of my fellow Academic Senate officers. Though we live in a democratic republic, the autocratic rule of one has been imposed on City College of San Francisco for the past year. At City College, we strive to teach our students that elected officials serve the will of the people in a representative government, and that the election process is at the heart of a democratic republic. Our system of transparent and inclusive governance is one that places political power in the hands of a public electorate, representative government, and freedom of speech. The people of San Francisco used these principles to express their support for City College when they voted 73% in favor of the passing of Measure A. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors unanimously voted for the immediate return of the democratically elected Board of Trustees. Autocracy is a system of government in which supreme power is concentrated in the hands of one person. For example, a special trustee with extraordinary powers. The United States denounces this form of government throughout the world. Today, your vote on this resolution aligns you and associates your name with either favoring an autocratic rule of one or restoring democracy in the governance of City College of San Francisco. I trust you'll think deeply on this matter and vote no on the resolution. Thank you for your time.
James McKinney.
Good afternoon, Chancellor, members of the board. My name is James McKinney. I'm a retired community college instructor after 43 years, 34 of which were at City College of San Francisco. I'm happy to be with you here today, and I'm going to read you a statement from John Rizzo, who is the elected president of the elected Board of Trustees of City College of San Francisco. And he writes, "Members of the Board of Governors, I apologize for not being here today. A pre-scheduled trip prevents me from attending. I am asking you to return City College of San Francisco to democratic governance by restoring the Board of Trustees to City College of San Francisco. Before the Board of Trustees was suspended, I worked diligently with the administration to deliver a number of important accreditation accomplishments, and here are a few." He lists 5. The first one is, the Board of Trustees requested that the State Chancellor assign a special trustee to assist with accreditation and restructuring. The Board voted to approve every measure the special trustee put before the Board. The special trustee never used his authority to overrule the Board of Trustees. Another item. In October of 2012, the Board of Trustees approved the accreditation plan that the special trustee and the administration have been using. Another item. The Board of Trustees reviewed a clear and transparent roadmap, which has been spoken about earlier, that shows progress toward the 357 individual accreditation tasks. Another item. The board voted to hire a firm to recoup millions of dollars in unpaid student fees to fully fund the reserve, to cut faculty salaries, and implement other tough physical measures. And finally, the board approved the reorganization of management that the administration has been working to implement. In short, almost every major accomplishment by the administration during the past year has its roots in an action approved by the elected Board of Trustees before it was suspended. Suspending the Board of Trustees was not a magic bullet. Under the leadership of the special trustee, City College is still threatened with loss of accreditation. It is time to return public oversight to City College. A functioning Board of Trustees will help the college achieve its accreditation goals and will increase public confidence in the institution. A functioning governing board is a requirement of accreditation and of the law. I appreciate the Board of Governors' work with regards to City College and California Community Colleges. Sincerely, John Rizzo, President, Board of Trustees, City College of San Francisco. Thank you.
Mr. Farrar, and then following Mr. Farrar, it's Muriel Parento, Wendy Kaufman, and Karen Saganor.
Mr. Chancellor, members of the Board of Governors, my two previous colleagues have said much of what it is that I planned on saying. What comes to mind is a law that the ancient Romans had, an approach to law. And in fact, two. One was that there can be no legal obligation to do the impossible. For the ACCJC or any other agency to imagine that City College could resolve all of the 14 deficiencies that were claimed in the course of 9 months, 10 months between July 2012 and April 2013 was impossible. It could not be done. And it wasn't, the inability to do it had nothing to do with a dysfunctional Board of Trustees. As my colleagues before have pointed out, particularly the gentleman before me, much of the success, much of the transformation of the school that's taken place in the last 2 years, it took place in the first year with the cooperative Board of Trustees. Not once did the special trustee have to use his power of veto. The fact that a special trustee with extraordinary powers was appointed a year ago has demonstrated even further the impossibility of accomplishing all that needed to be accomplished in the short time that was given. There was no basis for the removing of the Board of Trustees, and this is something that, I mean, it's easy for us to kind of dig in, and, you know, I have my position, you have your position, we just kind of dig in, but this is a very serious situation. Democracy lives at in these local communities, in these bodies that we elect, people we elect to these bodies that we know, who live next door to us, who we can talk to. In these local bodies, we can actually affect change. We can make things happen. It's here that democracy has roots. It's from the bottom up, from the ground up, that it grows. When we remove those bodies, we seriously threaten the entire edifice of the democracy that we hold to be so precious. And democracy itself is a paradox. On the one hand, it's powerful. It's the best institution for governance that we have yet created. And on the other hand, it's very fragile, and we see that throughout the world. So every action that we take, every decision that we make when it comes to institutions of governance, we have to keep that in mind. Do we wish to strengthen the institutions of democracy or weaken them? Will City College of San Francisco be better off under an autocracy for another year? Or it would be better if we bring back the Board of Trustees and begin to reintegrate the principle of democracy into the governance of the school? Please reconsider voting to bring the special trustee in for another year. Thank you.
Muriel Parento, followed by Wendy Kaufman and Karen Saganor.
Hello, my name is Muriel Parento, and I'm the Department Chair of Disabled Students Programs and Services at City College of San Francisco. DSPS currently serves over 2,000 students with disabilities and assists them in participating in an accessible, affordable, quality education. Please do not reappoint a special trustee with extraordinary powers at City College of San Francisco. A special trustee is not necessary. It is undemocratic and unwarranted to continue an unjust level of punishment on an educational institution that prides itself on its open access policy, celebrates the Educational Master Plan of California, and delivers an exemplary education to students, especially high-risk students, students with disabilities, second chance students, foster youth, and new immigrants looking to a brighter future. City College exceeded or equaled statewide averages on 11 out of the 13 metrics in the Chancellor's Scorecard. City College of San Francisco has a democratically elected Board of Trustees, which should be reinstated immediately. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors agrees. Reinstate the City College Board of Trustees. The super trustee is not the board. We want our voices heard. The reasons cited to take over City College were based on falsehoods a year ago, and they are no more true today. The threat of closure fades as public scrutiny has now focused on the less than professional practices of the ACCJC. I want to acknowledge Mr. Bryce Harris for his statement to City Attorney Dennis Herrera, rethinking his decision to align with Barbara Bino in disbanding the City College Board of Trustees and imposing a special trustee. The California public has lost faith in the ACCJC. State legislators, including Jackie Speer, Anna Eshoo, and U.S. Representative Nancy Pelosi, are questioning the ACCJC. Many are shocked at the way City College has been treated. Because of its conduct, the ACCJC struggles to gain acceptance by others and could itself lose its accreditation. The actions of the super trustee have not fostered a positive learning environment. Threats of closure and infusing fear and distrust in a college community are not the best way to bring about improvement in the quality of higher education. The changes that have taken place at CCSF were done by dedicated individuals who care about students, love City College, and not the result of the presence of the super trustee. City College has more than demonstrated its ability to change and govern itself. Californians will not look favorably on this body should you decide to maintain the super trustee. There is an alternative. Do the right thing. Vote for inclusion. Vote for democracy. Vote for local control. Vote for students. And do not reappoint a super trustee. Thank you for your time.
Wendy Kaufman.
Hi, I'm Wendy Kaufman. I'm an engineering instructor at City College of San Francisco. I've been there 31 years. I have to say I feel very confused by the resolution before you today to continue a special trustee with extraordinary powers at City College of San Francisco. The resolution contains factual and logical errors, in addition to being an affront to the democratic principles that we all cherish and that we just got done celebrating over this last 4th of July weekend. The first factual error is that the need for a special trustee with extraordinary powers, a STWAP, is based primarily on the failure of City College to comply with the principles of sound financial management. But this is just untrue. In fact, in order to install the STWAP last year, you had to implement an emergency change to your regulations because City College was not financially insolvent. It wasn't last year, and it isn't now. As you heard from Alan Fisher, one of the previous speakers, reading his statement, he brought to your attention the fact that there is an $18 million fund balance and potentially up to $30 million. He asked that you verify the actual fund balance before you vote on a resolution to reappoint a special trustee with extraordinary powers. The second factual error is that the STWAP has made significant progress and just needs more time. So This resolution is saying that the only way to save City College is to put in the person that was put in a year ago to save City College and hasn't saved City College. He's failed in the very reason he was brought in, to retain accreditation. Furthermore, he's done considerable damage to the college. The resolution talks about progress that has been made, but the progress that I see that has been made is not on the front of accreditation, which there has been progress on that front due to the very hard work of the college constituencies, but not necessarily the work that the STWEP has done. I've seen that under his rule, the college has experienced widespread demoralization of virtually every college constituency. That salaries have been cut, faculty are making 4% less than they made in 27, and top administrators are on a pay scale which is almost 20% higher than before the STWEP came in. There's also been an ill-conceived and expensive college reorganization that has no basis in the realities of City College, its history, its traditions, and most important, its values of inclusion and social justice. There's also logical errors that I obviously don't have time for, but the ACCJC, as evidenced in Chancellor Harris's own declaration in the city attorney's lawsuit, acknowledges them as a discredited organization that you can't trust. So I ask you, don't continue trusting them. Don't continue with the STWEP. Thank you.
Karen Saganor will be followed by Monica Collins, Carol Mayer, and Alvin Jaw.
My name is Karen Saganor. I'm a librarian at CCSF. To meet ACCJC's eligibility requirements and standards, each college must have a functioning governing board. CCSF needs to meet this requirement and needs to meet it now. Please do not take away our college's opportunity to continue to be accredited. Our elected board hasn't met in more than a year. It is not a functioning board. A functioning governing board is required for accreditation, not optional. Although the special trustee with extraordinary powers performs many of the functions of the board, he is not a substitute for having an actual board. The eligibility requirements say a majority of the board members have no employment or other personal financial interest in the institution. Dr. Agrella is employed as special trustee under a contract with substantial pay, more than $1,000 per day. He cannot be relabeled as a governing board. Nor does he substitute for the board in meeting accreditation standards. Yes, he approves the budget, but he does not conduct the required board trainings, board self-evaluation, nor comply with various City College policies that are related to the board and required by accreditation standards. It may well be that the leadership of ACCJC prefers for CCSF to have a special trustee instead of a functioning board, but their standards require a functioning governing board. And federal regulations require consistent application of standards and requirements across colleges. They can't just say, well, the City College won't need to have a functioning governing board. So by putting CCSF definitely out of compliance with standards and requirements, you substantially increase the danger that our college will in fact entirely lose accreditation. We cannot stay accredited without a functioning board. Please don't do this to San Francisco. I want to add to that a point of information. Vice Chancellor Skinner told you that one of the reasons that you should vote to extend the special trustee was a lack of stability in the office of chancellor. At CCSF, Chancellor Griffin was a permanent chancellor. When he became seriously ill in spring of 2012, an interim chancellor was needed, but the reason for replacing that interim of a few months with an interim of a second interim who was in place for an entire year, that was done at the direction of Dr. Bill McGinnis, who during a presentation he made jointly with Dr. Barbara Bino to the City College Board of Trustees in July 2012, a presentation you can watch online, told our Board of Trustees to hire a second interim. Not so incidentally, ACCJC leaders appointed the same Dr. Bill McGinnis to chair the ACCJC appeal process. right? The administration of City College tried to exercise their opportunity to challenge his inclusion on the panel because of this conflict of interest. But ACCJC kept him in place as the chair of the appeal panel anyway, and you have probably read his decision that ACCJC did their work correctly in 2013 when they made a decision of termination for City College based on the work that was done or not done by the leadership of that second interim chancellor. I'm glad this issue was brought up because it's a parallel situation. With the chancellor, with the board of trustees, the order is this: don't give City College proper leadership and then fault the college for not having proper leadership. Please don't continue this cycle. Thank you very much.
Monica Collins, followed by Carol Mayer and Alvin Jaw.
Hello, I'm Monica Collins. I'm a staffer at City College. Former student. It gave me the tools to go to university and also find a trade. Learn 5 foreign languages. It's a remarkable school. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your cordial welcome today. Secondly, I have nothing personal against the trustee. This position is all wrong, and everyone has argued the startling information that you heard today. It's remarkable information. The students and the faculty who've spoken to you, you must listen to them. We have seen our salary plummet. We have seen our numbers not decimated. Decimate means you take out 1 out of every 10. There used to be 8 people where I'm working in that unit. Now there's 2.5. This is true of student services all over the campus. The students are getting the short stick, and administration is, shall we say, bloated. It's huge. They're overpaid, and I understand a lot of them don't even qualify for their own positions. Thank you.
Carol Mayer.
Hi, my name is Carol Mayer. I teach business at City College of San Francisco. I had a previous career in business. This is my retirement job. I'm also a city resident, I'm a voter, and I'm a taxpayer. First of all, I actually come to you today extremely grateful because years ago I had an access to an affordable, accessible California public higher education, which gave me every blessing that I have in my life today, thanks to that education. So I want to thank you all for being a part of that. So it's with a very heavy heart that I must implore you to please reconsider your policies that are undermining the opportunities for a California public education that has benefited myself, but it has also benefited all of you. In sharing these blessings. CCSF had real problems in 2012, and our Board of Trustees had its part in those problems. However, CCSF never had a chance to try to address its own problems. We had 2 interim chancellors and a STWEP pressed upon us almost immediately. I'd like to remind you that the STWEP was involved in getting the laws changed with help from the ACCJC so that they could collect at taxpayer expense both a very generous salary as well as a generous pension, which immediately raises question of conflict of interest. The interim leadership spent the 2012-13 year firing and rehiring all of our administrators and then shutting down shared governance, which actually put the college in a lot of disarray at a time when we needed to be coming together. This interim administration told the ACCJC, but not even our own board, that they did not believe that we met the June 2013 standards. In fact, they would leave the board meetings right at 9 o'clock. According to Scott Lay of your California Community Chancellors meeting, he told a room full of CCSF individuals that apparently Chancellor Harris and Mayor Ed Lee had a few conversations because apparently Mayor Ed Lee wanted to replace our board with some of his own appointees, and that it was actually a deliberate action to set aside the Board of Trustees so that all of our real estate in San Francisco, $1,000 a square foot for a condo, could potentially be taken advantage of by Rodrigo Santos and others. Another conflict of interest. Some new problems have emerged. For example, we tout this new management. Well, our Vice Chancellor of Student Development has since stepped down. The Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs has had her portfolio cut in half. A new president has just stepped in who is taking over both the student development role as well as half of the academic affairs role.
This individual has no academic affairs experience, and she has no student development experience. Her professional background is in real estate, and it's in budgets and facilities. You need to learn more about what is really happening at City College of San Francisco, and not just a Grella spin. Please do not reappoint the special trustee. There are too many conflicts of interest. There are too many new problems emerging, and City College is in disarray, not thanks to the special trustee fixing things, but the special trustee making things worse. Thank you.
Next is Alvin Jaw, and he'll be followed by Harry Bernstein, Roger Scott, and Leslie Simon.
Hi, my name is Alvin Jaw. The first thing I want to say is a basic point of departure for all the governors, for all the staff. And what that basic point of departure is who do you serve, who do you protect, who do you promote? Do you serve and protect the interests of the people of California, or do you serve and protect the interests of ACCJC? So you have to look deep inside your own heart. Who are you fighting for? Okay, so that's the first thing. You know, it's a question of your own integrity. Okay. Secondly, President Baca, I'd like to thank you for your letter of May 20th addressed to ACCJC. The letter, I'll just quote a little bit about it. At the time we intervened to elevate the trustee and remove the authority of the locally elected board, and we did so with the strong encouragement of ACCJC and with the Commission's assurance that, other stuff. And also that we would never have undertaken this job if it weren't for that assurance that that would be the path for reaccreditation. Secondly, I would like to thank Chancellor Harris for your declaration, your legal declaration dated on, I believe it was June 10th, and I'll quote a little bit from that. I was left with in a conversation with Dr. Benno, I was left with an unambiguous impression that the only way to save City College was for the BOG to take over the college. And then at the very end, you state, I would not have asked the Board of Governors to take the extraordinary step of setting aside the locally elected Board of Trustees and to elevate the special trustee, if it weren't for the what Dr. Benno had misled you to believe. Okay. So I was real happy to see both that letter and that declaration. I said, oh my God, CCC has turned the corner. They're on our side. Unfortunately, when I looked at the agenda for today's meeting, Mr. Skinner's staff analysis and the resolution, I had a John McEnroe moment. Okay? What did John McEnroe say? He said, I cannot believe this, in terms of the call. And so what President Baca and Chancellor Bryce had said was totally contradicted by what Mr. Skinner said, Deputy Chancellor Skinner said. And this is all contrary to established fact now. Okay. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Harry Bernstein, Roger Scott, and Leslie Simon.
I'm Harry Bernstein, an instructor of music at City College. Honored members of the Board of Governors. At your meeting last year on July 8th, Member Ramos protested that he understood the emergency character of the resolution, but the board was only given one proposal for action, and they acted. Today, it's the same case. You're given only one choice, and we hope that you will avoid this choice and delay your vote, consideration, or completely reject it. Last July, when the board authorized special trustee for City College of San Francisco and removed the board of trustees, There were many doubts and uncertainties about that course of action. Mr. Baum asked some very prescient questions, which I don't think you were given proper answers for. Chancellor Harris stated, as you've heard already today, that had he known there would be no path to accreditation, he would not have asked the Board of Governors to take the extreme step of removing the elected Board of Trustees at City College and appointing a special trustee to replace the board. That was his characterization. There was no path to accreditation, and today's resolution is unjustified since it seeks to compound that mistake by extending last July's decision for yet another year. There is more to the story. In legal declarations last month, Chancellor Harris and ACCJC President Barbara Bino admitted collusion in advance of last July's emergency Board of Governors resolution to remove the Board of Trustees and appoint a special trustee. As my colleague mentioned, Scott Lay of the Community College League also told City College representatives that San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee and Chancellor Harris had an agreement. And you were not informed about that either. Onto the college itself, Robert Agrella has failed to accomplish the renewal of accreditation for City College. He did not follow the bases provided by ACCJC for review or appeal, and this review failed, and appeal, they were given, it was remanded, so it passed by technicality. City College faculty, staff, and students are stakeholders, but they have no effective voice since the removal of the Board of Trustees. For example, Special Trustee Agrella has the obligations of the board, but doesn't meet the obligations. One example, he canceled public board meetings required by the Ralph Brown Act. This failure could be punishable by a misdemeanor, and any actions the board passed in this way is subject to legal challenge and reversal. So where does that get us? Finally, a remarkable resolution by the San Francisco Board of Supervisors was passed unanimously on March 25th, urging all of you to restore City College of San Francisco's duly elected Board of Trustees. Now is the time. Thank you.
Mr. Scott.
Good afternoon. My name is Roger Scott. I've been a teacher at City College since 1972. This meeting today, I thought I didn't need to move it around. Okay, does this move take out my time?
Yes.
Okay. I've been around a long time, as you can see from my beard and white hair. This is one of the most surreal moments of my life. I see the proposal before you as a parody of rational public policy decision making. I'm not presenting my comments now on. I'm reading the comments of Dr. Anita Greer, who's been before you on several occasions. Good afternoon. I regret not being with you physically since I'm in China, but I'm certainly there in spirit and solidarity with my City College comrades and supporters from across the state. On 3 occasions, I've presented my views on issues affecting our great college that is finally emerging from a crisis that was partly our own creation, then exacerbated by the ACCJC, an organization, in my view, of self-righteous bureaucratic tyrants imposing harsh, unwarranted sanctions in the name of fiscal solvency and organizational stability. I believe in political and economic democracy, and my life is a testament to the value of education. I worked more than 3 years as a teacher and administrator in the San Francisco Unified School District, and I've served almost 4 terms on the City College Board of Trustees, including 2 terms as president and 2 as vice president. Unlike some of our educators in this chamber, I never had motive or opportunity to attend Nova University or the University of Phoenix. My degrees are from CCSF, San Francisco State, and the University of San Francisco. When I address this body to criticize the ACCJC or to oppose what I continue to view as an irrational, procedurally erratic, and undemocratic decision to dissolve our duly elected Board of Trustees and replace us with a single individual, none of you shouted me down or treated me discourteously. However, your body language conveyed that my message was wrong and my presence was unwelcome. There were allies in the room who made eye contact and thanked me afterward for my comments, but I felt more like a lonely intruder than a colleague among educators and advocates of affordable and accessible higher education. I don't feel lonely anymore, considering the many ways the ACCJC has been discredited. The people, their elected leaders, and the courts have vindicated my judgment, and an increasing number of people believe that education should be a public service, not a commodity, and that graduate programs should make us better servants of the people, not affluent careerists. I'm fortunate to be part of the people's voice today, urging you not to appoint another special trustee or to continue with Dr. Agrella's appointment, but to return the CCSF Board of Trustees as the people elected to manage our precious educational resources, to make administrative decisions of the college in open session, and to serve the human and educational needs of 1 in 7 people in our great city as we have so many years. I don't think the ACCJC attempts to understand the pragmatic vision of the California Master Plan for Higher Education. I wish members of this board truly supported educational, accessible and affordable higher education. And since I believe in the value of education and the lessons of history, I urge you to serve the people by returning the City College Board of Trustees to power and by actively supporting the California Master Plan for Higher Education. Our political democracy can't exist without the universal ethic of economic justice and the collective judgment of educated citizens. Dr. Anita Greer. Thank you.
Leslie Simon will then be followed by Edward Simon Hansen, Dr. Edward Simon Hansen, Jennifer Sale, and Josh Pitchall.
Board of Governors, Chancellor, thank you for your service to California community colleges. I have devoted a long teaching career to City College of San Francisco, primary among my reasons as a way to give back. My mother, a daughter of immigrants, grew immeasurably from the cultural enrichment she received at a 2-year community college in Chicago during the Depression while she worked at a downtown department store, like many of our students. She could not afford to transfer until many years later. Though my mother did not leave with a certificate or a vocation, though she did not immediately transfer, she left the 2-year college with a love for literature, a deeper analysis of history, and an engagement in politics, which she passed on to my brother and me and our children, who are now doing the same for theirs. A legacy of learning for the impoverished daughter of immigrants. Immigrants and other poor people today in San Francisco are being robbed of that potential to grow. Frightened by the inaccurate and confusing news, many of them believe the college is closing or has been discredited. They can't afford to travel down to the peninsula or across the bay to other community colleges, so they are not enrolling. If we don't act soon, we will lose a generation of learners. How does this relate to the return of the local Board of Trustees? A board that represents the diverse communities of San Francisco, a board that responds to and engages with multiple constituencies, can deliver the message that we are open, affordable, accessible, and once again serving immigrants, poor people, students finding their way to an engaged and honorable citizenship such as you and I enjoy. Whether or not we agree on the initial appointment of a special trustee with extraordinary powers, all of us can agree that City College is no longer on the brink of losing its accreditation. We need our elected leaders back, the people who can speak most to our vulnerable students, the ones who can perhaps gain the most from an affordable, accessible community college. Thank you very much.
Dr. Hansen, followed by, I believe it says Jennifer Sale and Josh Pitchall.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Edward Simon Hansen. I am the current chair of the biology department at San Francisco City College, and I've been an educator for over 20 years. I'm really looking forward to hearing the arguments in pro of this resolution, given what you've just spent the last 45 minutes to an hour listening to. I would like to provide you with just a little bit of information that hasn't been brought up before to reinforce some points, and then not to appeal, as I was originally going to appeal, to your interests as educators in the hopes of finding common grounds, but to appeal to some very practical purposes for where we're moving forward here, given how much information you've heard so far. 1 year ago today, around today, I was here arguing against changing state law to allow the takeover of San Francisco City College by the California Community Colleges boards. Since that time, there have been many changes that have affected the actual education delivery at San Francisco City College. Our enrollment is down 20% compared to State College or the rest of the community colleges, which are only down around 1%. CCSF is now a miserable place to work. There's great divisiveness between faculty, staff, and administration, spurred on by the salary changes you heard of, where many of us are making much less than we made in 2007, and the administration is making 20% more in unpublished salaries that only came out afterwards. Subsequently, educational departments have seen record numbers of retirements this year, and these retirements have not been replaced. In my and other departments, we are also seeing our best and brightest, newest faculty, on which our reputation depends for our educational quality, leaving City College and giving up tenured positions to find employment elsewhere because they know they can work somewhere else where they don't have to work under the conditions that have been imposed and continued in this last year. Simple functions such as schedule changes, late ad approvals, things that were just pro forma they went through, now suffer a larger administrative structure that has multiple layers to it, prone to more errors and more delay, frustrating more students. The most economical ways to teach class with overtime pay has been rearranged in a policy that seems to favor cutting more classes in areas that are already over-impacted, where we're over-taxing our teachers in the first place. Contrary to what this board's office has published, not all contracts have been settled between everyone at City College. So there are still contracts that expired at the end of this year that are being settled, and a lot of the delays and lack of moving forward have directly to do with governance function. We are spending $100,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars more on legal fees at this point. We're actually bracing for more lawsuits that are coming forward to us, many of which are subsequent to the fact that we had some issues last March with student protests that came in, issues having to do with the management decisions that have been made in the last year. And millions of dollars have been spent on contracting out what was normal functions within the college. I'm mentioning this to you not because I think you need to fix this. I'm mentioning this to you because I think you should be self-interested. There are huge legal liabilities that are coming forward, and we've already seen that our accreditation is tied up in a legal battle, and the state of California has already said that we don't want to pass those costs on to other community colleges. By your action on this resolution today, if you are going to take over control of San Francisco City College and continue that, you don't have written into your resolution that you're taking on the liabilities. It says power, it says control, it says authority. But that comes with liabilities.
We need you to conclude your remarks in respect of others who want to speak too.
Thank you very much.
I may be misrepresenting this name, but it's somebody from the Answer Coalition. I thought it was Jennifer.
Jamir.
Oh, Jamir. Please, you're next.
My name is Jamir Sale. I'm a former community college student. I recently transferred, and after transferring, I saw really the value of a community college education and allowing me, from coming from a low-income background to being able to access higher education. And I'd like to thank everyone for letting me speak. Really, I'd like to just remind the board of the purpose of community colleges and the central role that students play in not only deciding what's going on campus, but also making the campuses run. Because after all, it is important administration, but at the end of the day, administration exists to serve the students. And from seeing what this supervisor has done, cutting classes, cutting the wages of the faculty, these things don't seem to benefit the students and the quality of the education, but they seem more self-interested and more towards profit-oriented. And I would just like to, in considering whether or not to extend the period for this individual, just think about what the goals are for community colleges in general and higher education in particular, and CCSF in particular. And yeah.
Thank you. Josh Bichon from CFT, followed by Raphael Mandelman, Dean Murakami, and Alyssa Messer.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Joshua Peshtault, President of the California Federation of Teachers. I'm here today to comment on the proposed renewal of the contract of Robert Agrella as Special Trustee with extraordinary power at the City College of San Francisco, and I ask that my written comments, which are going to be much longer than my spoken comments, will be provided and be put on the record. It was 1 year ago, almost to this day, that our union came to the board to vehemently oppose the decision of the Accrediting Commission for Community and Junior Colleges to deny accreditation to City College of San Francisco. We stated then that this punitive action by the Commission denying accreditation to CCSF, coming on the heels of violations of federal and state law, revealed the extent to which ACCJC was out of touch with its primary mission of working collaboratively with member colleges in order to assist them in meeting federal requirements for the benefit of their students. Since then, the poor performance of ACCJC has been detailed and documented numerous times. ACCJC's illegal behavior continues today. The ACCJC needs to rescind its show cause and disaccreditation orders and run a new, fair review of the college's progress with a properly composed team without conflicts of interest. There's much the State Board of Governors can do to help. First, the BOG should remove language from the Title V of its regulations naming ACCJC as the sole accreditor of California's community colleges. Second, the BOG should work to ensure fair and transparent accreditation process by actively supporting accreditation reform legislation, AB 1942. Finally, the Board of Governors could develop a plan to return San Francisco's community college district to the control of its democratically elected Board of Trustees. Before voting to extend Mr. Agrella's contract for another year, a plan should be put in place to return the Board of Trustees and restore local control. The CFT and AFT 2121 believe a robust, thorough, and transparent accrediting process conducted by qualified and legitimate educators that engages the entire education community is critical to develop workable short and long-term strategies for strengthening academic achievement. We want CCSF to be even stronger, a better college, and we want an accrediting commission that follows state and federal law and its own policies and procedures, and that works in partnership with its member institutions. Thank you for listening to my comments, and here are my written comments.
Hand them to the board liaison, Clarissa Rang. I'll make sure everybody gets them and that they're included into the record.
Thank you very much.
Trustee Mandelman.
Good afternoon, Chancellor Harris, President Baca, Vice President Baum, and I'd like to congratulate my friend Cecilia Estelano for being appointed to this body. My name is Raphael Mandelman, and I was elected to the Board of Trustees of City College of San Francisco in November of 2012. So allow me to begin by thanking the Chancellor and the staff of the State Chancellor's Office for your many efforts on behalf of City College over the last several years, but particularly over the last several months. Let me be clear that although I do not minimize the significant challenges that faced City College prior to its embroilment with the ACCJC in 2012, I do believe that City College could have and would have addressed the fiscal and administrative issues identified by the ACCJC and FCMAT without the threat of imminent closure. And indeed, I believe that 1 year ago, with the assistance of Special Trustee Bob Agrella, the college was well on its way to doing that. And other speakers have spoken about how that was and why that was. So I strongly reject the view expressed in one of the recitals to the resolution before you that suspension of the locally elected Board of Trustees was necessary to address fiscal or administrative challenges facing City College 1 year ago. But let me also be clear that without the strong advocacy of the State Chancellor and his staff over the last few months, I do not know that City College, left on its own, would have been in a position to stand up to an accrediting agency staffed and overseen by a set of people that many, including, I think and hope, an increasing number of people in this room, are realizing is temperamentally unsuited for the extraordinarily important work of an accrediting agency. A year ago, the State Chancellor argued that the larger fight over accreditation needed to be kept separate from the effort to save City College. And I think the events of the last year have shown that the two are inseparable, and it will be impossible to succeed in saving City College without reforming or replacing the ACCJC. So allow me to thank you again for your advocacy, and allow me to urge you to address the larger challenge posed by the ACCJC, not just to City College, but to all of California's community colleges. There has to be a better way to reform a troubled community college than threatening it with closure. And the costs at City College have been enormous. From the declining enrollment, you've heard a lot about growing reserves, but the reality is that the leaving of many students and students failing to enroll has created a huge budgetary problem at City College that it took the state legislature's intervention to address. And that's not looking at the impacts to students' lives, the faculty, staff, and administrators who have left or who have not come to City College at a time when we need to be attracting great people. The costs are significant. But finally, a cost to City College of this process has been the matter of democratic governance, which has been, I think, a not insignificant casualty of the ACCJC's approach in San Francisco, and is the item on your agenda today. I'm not going to attack Special Trustee Bob Agrella. I don't agree with each and every choice that he's made, but Bob Agrella is, I think, a competent and a good man who's provided a steady hand at a time when City College desperately needed one. But this isn't about one man. This is about an important principle enshrined in California law that local community colleges should be governed by democratically elected boards. And although it is reasonable, I think, for the State Chancellor not to feel it is appropriate at this very instant to turn over control of the college to a group of people who have not had any role at all over the last year in running the college, I think the language in the resolution merely calling for consultation is inadequate. And I think that there does need to be more along the lines of a program, a process, a timeline to get us to the restoration of a democratically elected board along a firm timeline that people can see. I think that'll do a lot to reduce tensions at the college and to ensure the success of Drs. Agrella and Tyler. And thank you again.
Thank you, Trustee Mandelman. Dean Murakami, and then our last public comments from Elisa Messer.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dean Murakami, I'm president of the Faculty Association of California Community Colleges. I thank Chancellor Harris and President Baca and the rest of the board for allowing me to speak today. I just want to make sure that this board understands that while you've heard so many comments from faculty and staff and administrators from City College of San Francisco, the concerns of what is happening at City College of San Francisco and accreditation particularly is a concern for all faculty at all colleges across California. This is not just an issue concerning City College of San Francisco. The second thing I'd like to say is that I want to reiterate the position that I had previously, is that our concern from FAC is that when Compton College lost its accreditation, one of the main rationales that ACCJC used to deny accreditation to that college district was the appointment of a special trustee and a non-functioning board of trustees. So for that same denial is at play at City College of San Francisco. With a non-functioning board of trustees, that is a major rationale for denying City College of San Francisco accreditation by ACCJC. So I urge all of you to make sure that as quickly as possible that you need to restore that board of trustees and make it fully functioning as soon as possible. The last thing I'd like to say is that with the recent audit report concerning ACCJC, I think it's absolutely imperative that this Board of Governors and Consultation Council have a real discussion concerning those recommendations and the future of ACCJC. Thank you very much.
The last public comment is from Elisa Messer, but also we have had a number of written comments that have been distributed and that are at each member's place as well. Elisa.
So thank you. My name is Elisa Messer. I am an English instructor at City College of San Francisco. I'm the former president of AFT 2121, the faculty union there, and I'm also a vice president of the California Federation of Teachers. I want to thank you for listening to a complex and what is clearly a contested history of what has happened and is happening at City College of San Francisco. That was a lot. There was a lot of information. So I'd just like to mention a couple of things that weren't specifically talked about and really end with perhaps what this body could and I think should do. But before I do that, the last time I sat before this body was October 2012, and I pulled a quote from what I said to you that day. I said, AFT 2121 does not believe that returning the district, City College, of San Francisco to fiscal stability necessitates abandoning the principles we as a college have collectively held dear of offering San Francisco's diverse students quality education or of valuing and sustaining those who do the work to ensure our students are well served. So we still hold those principles. At that time, in October 2012, it was not clear that I should have also included in there the basic principle of democracy and of the voice of the voters. So on this day that you're considering under what I should tell you I believe, and as you heard many others in the room believe to be false pretenses, the reaffirmation of what is essentially an emergency manager over City College and the continued sidelining of democracy and the voters of San Francisco, I would ask you to consider, what if the emergency is really not located in San Francisco? Why is the Board of Governors ignoring an emergency for community colleges that is located in Novato? I would ask the Board of Governors and the Chancellor's Office to think about the role that you and that all of us can collectively play in defending our colleges, all of our colleges, as Dean Murakami just said, and the millions of students in California who rely on them, including those in San Francisco. In the fall of 2012, this hasn't been mentioned today, at the urging in large part of the California Federation of Teachers, the Chancellor's Office reconvened a task force, the Accreditation Task Force. It seemed an important moment, most of us seem to agree, to review and revisit the concerns of so many in the system, that so many in the system had about the actions of the ACCJC. However, the Accreditation Task Force was intended to produce a report that, as far as I know, you have not seen and that I know that the public has not seen. It was in its near finalized stages nearly a year ago, at least last fall. I don't know how many of those findings you've seen or have been shared, but after numerous attempts to bring that information forward to the public, it appears to have disappeared. So there's a disappeared report from the Chancellor's Office. And so I would ask that the Board of Governors consider where that report is and what can be done to look at and think about what is happening with the ACCJC. And equally, I would ask you to think about what can be done with this resolution regarding democracy here today. There's an emergency in Novato and with our California community colleges, but that emergency is not in San Francisco. To reinstall an emergency manager is not necessary. The Board of Governors could decide to table this resolution, convene all of the constituents with Chancellor Harris and others, and come to a decision about how we can proceed at City College of San Francisco and statewide to defend all our community colleges and our students statewide and in San Francisco.
President Baca, that concludes the public comments.
Thank you, Vice President Baum. Before I open up for questions, I just appreciate all the commentary that we received this afternoon, and I think it's important to note that even though we may have differences in terms of the process, the end product is very much consistent, and I speak, I think, for this entire board in wanting to have City College of San Francisco back on track, and that very much includes having its trustees back in place. Now, the past year has been messy, to say the least, maybe the last couple, 2 or 3 years. There were some legitimate concerns. In the midst of all that, we've had a number of issues that maybe had little legitimacy, but the basis for why this board made the decision that it's made in the past years have been based because of forces that are maybe external to us, but very much with the interest of helping City College of San Francisco maintain its accreditation. And certainly we've been cognizant of the entire accreditation process and the way it affects the entire state. And that is in part the reason why we have devoted as much time out of this office to that. I know that Chancellor Harris has been on City College issues probably almost on a daily basis, along with Deputy Chancellor Skinner and the other vice chancellors. Now, the difference between what it was last year and now is in a much more positive position. I think the perspective that many of us had, and that may not be the perspective of some, was that City College was really in danger of losing its accreditation. Today, I think it's with a more optimistic, although cautious view, that we'll be able to get through this. But as to the issues that confront us, some of them are procedural, and in the end product, there is no difference between what we have heard this afternoon and certainly this body. Chancellor Harris?
Thank you, President Baca, members of the board. I too want to thank everyone who has come today to testify on behalf of this item. And I, in light of the testimony, want to make a recommended change in the action, and I'm going to read that to you so that you can consider that change. You'll obviously need to be willing to make a change in the recommendation before you take a vote. The current recommended action on page 21 of your book says it is recommended that the Board of Governors adopt Resolution 2014-03 authorizing the reappointment of a special trustee for San Francisco City College with the authority to assume management and control of the district through July 8, 2015. I would add at that point, and that staff present the board at their November meeting with a plan and timeline for returning the oversight of the college to the locally elected Board of Trustees. I want to underscore my concern about not extending the vote on the special trustee, but I hear loud and clear the feedback we've received today, and I think it's reasonable to expect this board to talk about a transition back to the locally elected board. We've said from the beginning of this board doesn't want to be in the position of negating local control for one day longer than is necessary. And so I think it's reasonable over the next couple of months leading up to the November meeting for us to work with the college on a timeline and come back to you with a report on what that timeline and transition might look like at your November meeting.
President Baca, I would like to move adoption of what the Chancellor just wrote with one addition phrase, and that is, I actually had it at number 5 on page 24, so I guess we just have to take that language and add a number 5 to the actual resolution.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
I think I'd just like to add a phrase that in that report, in the development of that report, to consult closely with the elected Board of Trustees in developing that transition plan. I'd like to include that in the motion. See if I can get a second.
I second that.
Member Sumi?
No, I mean,
You second my
seconding
motion?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Chancellor Harris, with
discussion?
Diane Scott, actually the letter that she had written in her last paragraph, if some of that verbiage could be put into it, I don't know if some of you have it, but it talked about consulting role, proportionally reduced decision-making power, and maybe we can look at the verbiage in those, because it is about giving them back some power and a timeline, because you've got the community involvement in it, and I just think it's sort of, the verbiage needs to be thought out a little bit more.
That would obviously have to be implicit in any plan we'd come forward to the board.
Do you need a motion for that, or is that part of your change?
No, basically she's suggesting that we make sure that when we come back to you with a plan that it has that consultative and participatory process.
Okay. We have a motion to amend, but also the changes that you're making to that.
So just so I'm clear, so that staff present the board at the November meeting a plan to reinstate the elected Board of Trustee that includes consultation with that board in the development of that plan.
I guess I would say that has been developed in consultation with the elected Board of Trustees.
Part of your change to the agenda, or is that?
That has been developed. The point is that the plan should be developed in consultation.
And implicit in this would be a timeline so that the board has a feel for what it's going to look like.
Right.
Okay, and let's see, we had the initial motion for the agenda item, which
I
was
made the
Member
motion.
Solano. And,
I got a second from
all right.
Member Zumi.
Okay, so Member Hawkins?
Yes, thank you. I have a question and a request. A question, what
what would be the impact, Chancellor Harris, of removing the extraordinary powers but returning Trustee Agrella to the veto power and replacing or putting the...
Well, I think that step would be premature. I don't think we're at the point where we're ready to make the transition as you've suggested. Certainly an alternative open to the board, but obviously we made this recommendation based on our belief that the special trustee continues to be needed in order to finish the solution of the problems that would lead up to ultimate restoration of accreditation of the college.
And does this have to be the year to 2015? Could we make it shorter?
Well, I think when we come forward to you with a timeline that may be altered, but in order to make certain we cover the time that's required, it's my recommendation that you extend it through this time next year.
The request would be, President Baca, that we have a roll call vote on this. I consider it that important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have a motion to change, so all in favor?
No, we're going to do a roll call vote, but there's still anybody else have discussion?
Yeah, any other discussion?
There's nobody else. I do have a question.
I have a couple of questions, Chair.
Okay. Vice President Moore? And Burstall?
Sure. I'll start, and then I have a statement I'd just like to say. First off, if we do adopt this, Chancellor Harris, is it the intention, we authorize the continuation of a special trustee. Is Mr. Agrella the likely person that will continue in that position, and has he agreed to do so?
At least for the present time. I can't speak for the duration of this, but he's agreed to allow his tenure as special trustee to be renewed.
Right. When I made the when we voted on this last year, I raised the issue about the transparency of the decision-making process that if we do replace the publicly elected board, we do. What has been the system to inform the public and the community about decisions that are made by the trustee? How has that been carried out? Now, this is a conversation that the board is having with the chancellor and the staff, not right now. So
I think Dr. Agrella over the past several months has attempted to increase involvement of the college community and better inform the community in general. That's been a gradual process ramping up. As you can imagine, Dr. Agrella and the leadership of the college have been chiefly focused on meeting as quickly as possible the eligibility requirements and the standards. So he's done, I think, in the last several months, an increasingly robust attempt to reach out into the community.
What has the district done with other accountable committees like the bond oversight committees and things like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Eric, do you know what the bond oversight committee status is?
I know that there is a bond oversight committee. I do not know what their meeting schedule has been. I understand that the Measure A committee is being formed. No funds have flowed yet, or actually I believe in July the first increment of funding is coming through, so there hasn't been a need for it till now, and the special trustee Agrella is working with the chancellor to populate that board. But no, I don't know what meeting schedule they've adhered to, or for that matter, what business has been before the district over the year.
Well, let me just state for the record, too, it's very important to me. Both Dr. Baca and I are locally elected trustees, and we feel very strongly about the principle of local control and transparency, and that it's important to me that City College of San Francisco continue in a path where decision-making is made and as transparent a process as possible, and I'd like to just continue to see that is emphasized by the Board of Governors. So not only we, but also the members of the public that are served by San Francisco City College know how hiring decisions are made, how budget decisions are made, things like that, too. I do want to say a couple of things, though, too. It was, as a locally elected trustee, I would fight like heck to keep the principle of local control, and it was a very difficult decision last year that we made to create this special trustee and empower that special trustee. But at the same time, by its own admission, John Rizzo himself came here and explained that board of trustees actually had abdicated its authority and had let the district fall into a very perilous state and left virtually no other option. And both John Rizzo and Anita Greer, this predates Trustee Mandelman, but it's something that we, and I personally said, we will not let City of College of San Francisco fail. That is not an option. And in my time on this board, I've seen no greater champion for both the students, the faculty, the staff, and the community for City College of San Francisco than the Chancellor and his team in trying to find a path to address this issue and create an opportunity so that we avoid the most egregious consequence of the path that was being taken. And I appreciate deeply how much work that this leadership of this system has invested in preserving this institution that's so important to this state of California. And I do want to also extend my appreciation to the people of San Francisco who actually acted swiftly to help shore up financial resources for that district through the parcel tax, and Governor Brown through the advocacy for Prop 30 that also provided financial stability. This has been a collective effort. This has not been an effort that has not gone unnoticed, and the faculty who have made tremendous sacrifices both financially and personally. So we are all working together on behalf of the students of San Francisco, and I just want to express my vote of confidence in the path that the Chancellor has led for this system. And I do think we do all see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel here, and that we will address some of the serious concerns about accreditation. And that is something that I as a board member have experienced in my local district, and also we as a state system will address and look at very carefully, because there are changes that need to be made that have come to light out of this whole process. And but I support the recommendation by the Chancellor, and that I'm gratified to have the additional clause to that we will come back with a specific plan to restore the governance of that district to the locally elected board.
Thank you, Vice President Baum. Member Escalona.
Yeah, I have kind of three areas of questions or issues that I want to raise. One is, so the report was critical. That was the number one for me, and I'm glad that you just came out and amended the motion or amended the staff recommendation. But part of that is, what are we shooting for? And what would be the standards? What would be the metrics? When would we know that we got there? And I know that's part of the transition plan, but in order to develop that transition plan, I think as clear and as transparent as we can be with the people of San Francisco and say, here are the things you need to hit to get to that transition, the better it'll be for everyone. This is a community that's shown its commitment to this college, the passage of this bond. It is deeply embedded, this college is deeply embedded in the culture of San Francisco. And I think if we were to be able to say, these are the 5, 6, or 10, or maybe not 357, so it sounds like they're 95% of the way there, but a really clear sense of here are the few key things that have to happen in the next few months for this transition to occur. I think that would be helpful. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure how to signal that, because I don't think this is a body that can set that, but your office, I think working very closely to the special trustee, can set that, but it needs to be communicated to the people of San Francisco themselves. The second issue, I just want to follow up this Prop A bond oversight. I've sat on bond oversight committees. I chaired one for a water bond in Los Angeles several years back. It's critical that the voters that approve a bond measure have an oversight committee, and I think we need an answer. So maybe if we can have a report back at our next meeting about how that oversight committee is operating. I was somewhat confused because we had Chanel Williams, I think, stated that she was a representative on that oversight board, but at the same time, I heard that it hadn't had any meetings.
There are two different
Okay,
oversight committees.
so-
One for their regular bonds, and
Okay.
the second for the
For Prop
recent
A?
that starts flowing this month.
Got it. Okay, so she's with the regular bonds, not with the Prop A.
I don't know that, but that's what I would assume.
Okay, so just to sort that out, excuse me. Okay, just to sort that out would be very, very helpful. How that committee gets appointed, how it was envisioned in the bond measure, how that will work out given the presence of a special trustee, and maybe that's part of the transition plan, especially if the money hasn't started flowing yet. But just if we've got 72% of the voters affirming their commitment to the community college through the Prop A bond, we need to, or parcel fee, we need to make sure that that they keep that commitment, right? That we show them that is money that's going to be locally controlled. So that's critical. And then the third is just a question, Chancellor Harris, whether it is true that there must be a functioning board of trustees for the accreditation to be resumed. That is in fact the case.
It
I
is
just
in
want to
fact the
confirm
case.
that.
Before the college is ultimately taken off any kind of sanction and has their accreditation reaffirmed, there has to be a functioning board in place.
Okay.
Now, the accrediting commission has told the college in writing that for the purpose of this restoration, if the college chooses to go down that road, and I don't know at this point that they will, that the special trustee would meet the spirit of the eligibility requirements, which are required to get into restoration. But whether it is through the restoration process or whether it's through the remanding of the hearing panel, if that option were successful, the college would likely be moved to a lesser level of sanction. So in other words, they might be moved from show cause to probation. But at some point, before they are off sanction and reaffirmed, they must have a functioning board, and we've known that from the beginning.
Right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we all understood that since I'm new to this board. I just wanted to confirm that. So that, given the commitment of this body and the Chancellor's office to restoring local control, I have no doubt that that is going to be a critical element of this plan. And that if the plan that you present to us, even before November, it's clear that we can hit some of those milestones before then, there's no need to wait till November to hear back, although we only meet, I think we have next meeting in September and then November, so it's more likely that it will be the November meeting. So with that, I just feel like we're on a good path, but it is really important. I think Board of Governors member Baum said it best, that we really communicate very clearly to people about what we're doing. We have a lot of new board members on this Board of Governors. We've been coming up to speed very quickly on this issue. It's dominated most of what we've been reading about. And I think we're really committed to getting the college back on track and restoring local control. You have my word. And we're going to do everything we can to get it back on track. So thank you all for coming today and spending the time to drive out here and spending the time to testify. It's critical that you do that so that we can hear from you directly. And I have every hope we'll get to a speedy resolution of this.
Thank you. Any other member?
So this has been a interesting first meeting. Thank you all. Obviously we have some real issues to decide here, and as this is my first meeting and I just dove into this today, I'm probably going to abstain. But I just wanted to say, hearing from all of you, students, faculty, community members, I have no doubt that City College is going to restore itself to being one of the greatest colleges in the state, and that the kids of San Francisco are going to have an incredible education moving forward. So I just wanted to thank you guys for coming out. You guys were spectacular. Your passion was evident, and I would send my kids to that school in a heartbeat to get an education from you guys if you brought that passion into the classroom. So thank you very much.
Any other comments? Member Sumner?
I just have one, actually two comments. As she was talking about, sustainability, you don't want to put a Band-Aid on it. You want to see it sustaining. And that's one thing with the Board of Trustees that's happening. But 1 year sounds like a long time. And I know we're going to relook at the time frame. I don't know why 6 months was jumping out at me, but when you want to see something that's in place and the process is working, the people in the right places, And it's a short timeline when we're looking at September and November and school starting and motivated and empowering people and having people stepping up to the plate. Do we want to leave that 2015 date, since we're talking about relooking at the timeline, and a plan with what we're voting on stipulates 1 year? So my recommendation would be to decrease that timeline. You know, because then when we work on the plan may have something more. But I think when you say 1 year, I think it lacks their motivation that they're already starting to go with working on their process and the community involvement, that to relook at that as part of the plan. I just think 1 year out, I just think it doesn't really empower people and hold people accountable and showing the sustainability when you're going through accreditations. There's a lot at stake at this, like being a new board member too. I mean, I listened to the pros and the cons. And why did we have no board member meetings with lack of oversight with the trustees? So there are concerns the community needs to be involved, and maybe we as a board didn't do as well as getting the word out. So that's just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Would you like
to make a motion?
Yes. Is that something that you would want to readdress in 6 months, in other words?
I would say at
if
least,
it came to that,
yeah, I would say 6 months.
You would want to readdress it in 6 months rather than next year?
I would, well, not even really say 6 months. I just think when we come in November, but to say on this 2015 is we're going to come up with our timeline in the next couple of months, but to just have on here 1 year, it's saying that we're doing this for 1 year. I don't.
Point of information. It's if you look on page 24, it's authorizing the chancellor to do this through and including July. It's not obligating that to continue to July 2015. It's just an authorization to go that far if need be. So I think there's the flexibility to transition more quickly if we can come up with the plan and if we can get to where we need to be. That part of the original resolution, I think, is drafted to provide that flexibility, but I'd love the chancellor's comment on that.
Yes, it is drafted to provide that flexibility, and it's also drafted to apply or allow flexibility should it not move as quickly as we think it should. So that's why we ask for 12 months.
Is it your interest not to give the chancellor that flexibility?
It's not to not give the chancellor that flexibility. I just think as you're working on the plan, when you stipulate the timeline, I don't know, when I just look at this verbiage, I mean, I'm not an expert on this in anything, but I'm looking at, when people read it, they're automatically going to see it as, oh, another year. I want them to see that we're supporting them, that we're I mean, that I'm not sure how to put that into a motion.
Do you think that the language that has been proposed in the resolution doesn't solve that or help solve it?
I think with some of the changes that we have said, as far as making this, we need to relook at this and then present it as another motion.
What was the motion?
Well, I'm not the best at putting a motion forward, but here we go.
You have to amend my motion.
Yeah, I have to amend yours, but. Okay, so I'm going to go with amending Cecilia's motion with the time frame on it to maybe not be the 2015, because that'll give us time frame between now and the September and November time frame when you're working on that, the plan. I just think that moving that up a little bit empowers people more. I'm about empowerment of.
So you have to see if there's a second. So it's 6 months instead of a year?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Board Member Sumner, can I take a shot at a friendly amendment?
Absolutely.
So that we can get to where you want to go? Okay. So that the chancellor's authorized to do this, including whatever July 2015, but at the report back in November, that the board then has to authorize whether to continue through July 2015. That at that point we'll make a decision whether to continue on based on that plan.
Still not really the same thing.
Okay, I'm just trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a second?
Second? Okay, like the second. Off the question is amended.
Excuse me, President Baca. You've spoken to some, to the resolution, but you've amended the resolution.
Let me,
If you want to make a public comment, you can do so at the end of the meeting. You can fill out the speaker card.
We need to take action.
we're going to take action on the motion. Okay, as amended. It was your motion initially, so as amended.
Not amended,
And,
but it wasn't a friendly, I didn't accept the amendment.
right.
Okay, got it.
But it's as initially amended by you, so that we now should vote. All in favor of the motion? We're going to do a roll call vote? Go ahead. Roll call vote.
Is this on?
The main motion.
The main
On
motion
main
as
motion.
as amended.
Can I ask a question?
As I stated. It hasn't
As
been
stated.
amended. As
Can
I
I-
stated. Yeah.
You're the one that wasn't accepted the friendly amendment. Is that something you want to propose, or is that
I
something
was only
that's...
trying to get there because there was a lack of second.
Okay.
The lack of second. Roll call vote.
Arnaldo Avalos?
A?
Manuel Baca?
Yes.
Jeffrey Baum?
Aye.
Joseph J. Valencia Jr.?
Abstain.
Scott Budnick?
Abstain.
Cecilia Espolano?
Aye.
Danny Hawkins?
Regretfully, yes.
Lance Izumi?
Aye.
Deborah Nalumet?
Aye.
Gary Reed?
Yes.
Nancy Sumner?
Aye.
And Colin Jones?
Okay, the action is approved. Well, not just.
I'm sorry. Colin?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do not have voting rights, so automatically abstained.
Okay, staff recommendation is approved on action item.
As amended.
2.1 as amended. We'll now take a break, 15-minute break.